This is some solid work on the fence. I'm really impressed, Bill.
What can I say? I use the best big timber fasteners. I mean, I picked the right screw, the right gauge, the right length. I used the bronze 3X coating because we're in these mountain conditions. And that peak performance lubrication, man, it was way better than the fancy soap I stole from the bathroom.
Look at you dropping all the fastener facts. What happened to the guy that used to say a screw is just a screw?
Hey man, I got lots of facts rattling around in my brain now.
Hey, I'll take that, but I bet you didn't pay too much attention to those letters on the box that said TER, ACQ, or salt spray test, did you?
Wait, those mean something?
They do, especially if you want your project to last. ACQ stands for alkaline copper quaternary, a treatment used in pressure-treated wood to prevent rot and insect damage. But those same chemicals that protect the wood can eat away at standard steel fasteners and hardware if they're not built for it. So, if you're doing a job with pressure-treated wood, like outdoor structures or builds with ground contact, use big timber screws that are ACQ compatible so they won't corrode in treated lumber. Another thing that'll tell you how resistant to corrosion your screws are is a salt spray test. Salt spray testing simulates tough environmental conditions like moisture and salty air to measure how well a screw's coating resists corrosion. Screws are placed in a sealed chamber and exposed to a continuous saline mist for hours, days, and even months. The longer they hold up without rusting, the better they'll perform in real-world conditions. You won't always see the exact number of hours on the package, but high-performing coatings like Big Timber's bronze or black 3X coating are built to stand up to the elements.
Wait a minute, you said salt spray hours? You told me these things last for years.
And they will. The salt spray test is essentially an accelerated corrosion test, which simulates corrosive conditions that we find in different environments.
So what about these other letters? I mean, TERS or whatever that is. What does that mean?
Bill, TERS, it's TERs.
Oh.
A TER is a technical evaluation report. That's third-party testing conducted by licensed engineers, which essentially validates the screw's performance and properties. That way, you don't just have to take our word for it.
Cool.
Big Timber sends their screws to DRJ, a trusted third-party testing agency. They evaluate their screws for strength and performance, so engineers, architects, and inspectors know exactly what they can handle in the field. One of the key tests is shear strength, which is how much sideways force a screw can take before it snaps. You'll see shear force in things like framing joints during high wind conditions, deck joists under load, or even walls shifting during earthquake or a hurricane. If the screw can't take that lateral stress, the structure can fail. Another is pull-out resistance, how much force it takes to yank a screw straight out. That matters in real-life conditions, like roof sheathing during a storm, ledger boards on a deck, or anything that can be lifted by a strong wind. That's what keeps things anchored over time. Another test is tensile strength, which measures how much force it takes to pull a material apart before it breaks. For the pro contractor, the data in the TERs gives them the specs they need to choose the right fastener for the job. For everyone else, it's just peace of mind that this thing has been tested and verified.
Well, what about actual building codes? What do I look for there?
Look at you talking about building codes. Who are you, man?
What can I say? I've evolved.
All right then. Building codes are all about making sure your project is safe and legal. For fasteners, look for the ones that say IRC or IBC compliant. IBC stands for International Building Code, and IRC is International Residential Code. If a screw is compliant with those, it means it's approved for code-compliant construction in most parts of the US. That's especially important in structural work like framing or anything else that's going to be inspected.
And different areas have different building codes, right?
Exactly. Some municipalities have their own requirements outside of the IBC or IRC. So if you're building something permanent, always double check with your local building official prior to getting started.
So between TERs and building codes, not all screws are created equal.
Nope, and using the wrong one can cost you time, money, and failed inspection. So this little marking on the box, it's not just for show.
I always thought these markings were just marketing. I never even looked at them.
And most people don't until it costs them time and money. Certifications like ACQ, salt spray hours, TERs, and building code compliance give you confidence that your screws are up to code and up to the job.
Yeah.
Wow, nice work. Project's wrapped, everything held strong, and it passed the Brent test.
All done. and nothing snapped, stripped, or split. This might be the first time I've gotten done early, even with that lunch break.
Yeah, and with the extra time, how about we go see where these screws actually come from?
The factory?
Yep, time for the full Big Timber tour.
So if I do well on the tour, could I get one of those certified fastener nerd patches? You know, like you.
Yeah, we'll get you some gear, but let's keep that fastener nerd stuff between us. I don't want to be embarrassed in front of the factory crew.